Right. So yeah, let's start. But you two choose who's gonna start.
OTC, you
I
go
mean,
first, man. You can have
I
the floor
mean,
first. Go, go, go,
with
go.
that
I'm just
you're
gonna
already
interject.
speaking. That
I'm
you're
just
already
gonna
speaking.
interject.
No, 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 no. Go, 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 go. Because I was talking about finishing. I wasn't exactly talking about the Chelsea game per se. So you go first, OTC. Go on.
Yeah.
The floor is
Wait,
yours.
what was all you saying? Before I get into it.
Huh?
Oh no, never mind. I thought you were gonna say something before.
No,
All
no.
right,
I'm
let me
just
get.
saying. I'm just gonna interject with my comments in the game in it because I wasn't wholeheartedly watching the whole game as one.
Hmm.
I was a bit between that and the German football, so I didn't. I could
Okay.
only speak on parts that I saw.
Okay. Okay. This is how I saw the game. Especially after a couple of days, and the fact that we played yesterday as well, and you could see where I think where we messed up was this. Um, First half, extremely slow. We started extremely slow. Um, if this was an isolated game and this was, let's just say we started fast every game, or let's say this was an abnormal, anomaly, I would give praise to Man United for that. However, every game, most games actually we played this season, we've started slow in the first 45 minutes. I barely even think that we've even scored a goal in the first 45 minutes. I have to double check to be honest, but if not, we've not played well in
Not
the
many
first
goals
45
in the
minutes.
first half.
We've been poor for the first half, really, this whole season. Um, Man United stepped on the gas early on. I felt they had many chances to score, a little bit of poor finishing on their part, a couple of good saves as well from Kepa. Second half, we stepped it on as I would have expected because that's how we've been like this whole season. Um, Second half, we stepped on. I thought the change of formation as well really helped us. I think four at the back, but more bodies forward. I didn't really think that this game specifically, in hindsight, we needed a three at the back formation. I know we played that. I know that's our preferred formation, but for this specific game where we needed like more people forward and more triangles to be created, I think that the one less extra person kind of came to our detriment in the end. But change of formation done us good. We won the penalty, rightly so. I think the penalty was a good penalty, and then um, unfortunately, I think last 10, 15 minutes, like it has been for a lot of the season, opposition keep coming forward, keep coming forward. We kind of like we done okay to defend against it, but we conceded a last minute goal. Poor, poor, poor. Well, it wasn't really poor because it was coming, to be fair, and it kind of we should have been 1-0 down beforehand. So, but my disappointment in all of it was really the midfield. I don't think the midfield, but there's less people in the midfield as well, to be fair, because we played five at the back. But I do believe that our area of weakness mainly comes from our central midfielders. That double pivot is where our big problems come about. We've had players with injury. Well, not I wouldn't say injury, but we have players that aren't fully fit playing. Um, it's not ideal, but personally, that's where a lot of our problem is. And overall, I'm content. I would take a point against Man United, a team that's already beaten likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, etc. So I'll take it. And yeah, upwards and upwards. But I'm not really going to be fully disheartened with the display because I don't think it was a poor performance from any of our players. I don't think any of them were great, but I don't think many of them were poor. So it's a bit like, eh. And Man United weren't great either. So I'll take a point. But yeah, that's my assessment on the game as a whole.
No, Dan.
Well, sure. Listen, all I'm gonna say is this: yeah, that first, I would say 35, 40 minutes, we had more than enough chances here just to finish off Chelsea. That, to be quite honest, like, and we didn't take our chances. Like, as soon as they made the substitution and they brought on Kovacic, right? It kind of
Kovacic, yeah.
changed, yeah, it kind of changed the game because obviously it just literally pretty much just killed the game. Literally, like it was a substitution where he knew he was losing the battle. and he had to make that substitution. And if he didn't make that substitution, then the goal would have happened eventually. Obviously, good tactics. He changed the game per se, like to stop them from conceding. But really and truly, if my memory serves me correct, I think Chelsea didn't really create much. Like I think they only had 3 shots on goal in that second half. That's including the penalty. That tells me that nothing was really happening with anything in that second half, and that first half of dominance where we literally, I think we had like 8, 9 shots on goal in that first half, if I'm not mistaken, shows that if we go on the balance of how many chances we had in our dominant play compared to Chelsea's non-existent period of any kind of dominance really, or even when they did have possession, didn't really create anything. I'm disappointed we didn't win. Like I believe that we took our chances, especially Rashford, because I think Rashford had 2 or 3 chances where he just blasted
I
the
think
ball at the
three,
goalkeeper. Like
two. I definitely remember seeing hit pretty
yeah.
much straight at the keeper.
So for me, I'm disappointed. I can't. I'm not happy. Like I'm of the generation of United fan where if we're dominating the game, I'm expecting to win. I don't like. I'm not gonna be hearing like a draw. Like be happy. No, I'm not happy with a draw. Like I'm happy that we equalized at the end because at the end of the day, I didn't think we deserved to be losing the game, but we should have won the game in the first half, and we didn't take our chances, which is disappointing. But on the flip side, our form overall, I can't really complain. The form table says we're the third best team in the league, so onwards and onwards and upwards. You know.
Yo, yo. No, okay, all right, fair enough.
Then I
That's
can't
what you
say
got.
from what I saw
Mate,
of the game, I'd say the first half, like the bits of the first half I saw, United were dominating, and then I remember seeing the sub happen, and then it's like from the sub change it, like from when Kovacic come on, like it seemed like
Wait,
Chelsea got a
correction.
bit
I
more
think
of a foot,
Kovacic came on in like the 30th minute.
like the 33rd or something minute. So
Yeah.
like from when he came on, I think it kind of changed the dynamic of the game. It didn't United didn't seem from what I was watching didn't seem to get down the middle as easy as they was because they was getting through Chelsea quite easily. But again, it was like the finishing that was just letting them down. And then I think in the second half, from what I saw, I didn't from when I was watch I did watch quite a bit of the second half. I didn't really see either team dominate as such. So from what, like I say, from what I saw overall of the game, for United's lack of scoring, like well, for lack of like converting their fight, like their shots,
Mm.
and then obviously from what I saw in the second half, I again from what I saw, I was like, yeah, this game, a draw just seemed like the right result. And the fact that it seems to be a draw consistently of recent years,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem surprising that it ended in a draw.
It's
Don't
not
get me wrong,
surprising.
the way in which the draw came about from a penalty in what the 88th minute to
I think the penalty was a bit
93rd.
sooner. When was the penalty? I think I don't remember. Let me just
It
check
was
the
it was
penalty.
it was it was late in the day. I can't remember when it was,
87th
but
minute. You're right. 87th
87th.
minute.
Yeah, so then from then, like I say, from Chelsea scored that, realistically, you're expecting him to see the game out with a victory. So the fact that who gave the foul away? Was it a
McTominay.
free? No, no.
Oh,
McTominay's
the
penalty
United.
was foolish, but didn't United's like the attack? I know Shaw put it in,
Mm.
but it wasn't direct from a free kick, was it? I'm sure that cross resulted
It's from a
from.
corner.
Was it a corner? I remember it was a set.
Well, there was a free
I think it
kick,
was
and
a
then the
set
free kick
piece building
went
up,
kick. Yeah, the free kick
and then
went out for play. Then, well, no, went out for play. I think maybe there was a miscommunication between I think Kepa and Cucurella. Was it Cucurella? I can't remember who it was, but it was Kepa
Cucurella come off for Kovacic.
yeah, it was there was a miscommunication, and the ball went out
It was
for
like I say, it was a nice.
corner.
I know it was a nice cross, and I remember reading in the group chat, people thought, I think it was Oz, like, oh, McTominay again. But yeah, it was wild. Like, because as soon as I saw it, I
Mm.
thought it was over the line. So when obviously they was about to start playing, I'm like, oh, that must have been very close then. So then obviously when you see the goal line decision and exact how much space there was between goal and the ball. It was like, right, it was very thing. But like I say, you would hope Chelsea would see a game like that out. But like I say, overall, I do think a draw was a fair result.
Yeah, I think uh, it's tough. It's really tough to see it out against a team like Man United, who, even though they haven't got, I would describe it as the most clinical players. They're not the best on the ball in terms of keeping possession. Um, they do somehow find a way to create so many chances, and to defend against that, it's not easy. But I don't think that it was us conceding was from a defensive error. I don't think that. But my main issue was creativity in the midfield. I think that if we had created half that amount of chances that Man United created, I think probably would have put a couple of them in the back of the net.
Yeah, 'cause
That
like I say,
that's the issue.
like when you look at the game as a whole, like it wasn't the greatest of games. Like there was periods of play that were good,
Mm,
but then for the most part, it was pretty much that kind of battle of in the midfield. Like I say, for most of the second half, because like I say, there weren't really much clean cut chances like throughout
mm,
the game in the second half. But I do feel you lot when, like I say, when you switch the formation, when you brought Kovacic on, everything kind of changed. Because like I say, if you continue to play the way you was prior to the sub, I
mm.
think you probably would have gone on to lose because sooner or later, them chances would have been hitting the back of the net. Because yeah, law of averages says at least one's gonna go in, especially when they're going straight down. And I think, like I say, I think was quite easy to break down through the middle. But like I say, as soon as Kovacic come on, it kind of the midfield looked a bit more solid.
Yeah, that's why I always say, that's the number one issue. Like the whole midfield function from defending and defending against the opposition players to creating clear cut chances to just maintaining possession in a long period of time. I think it's good, but it's not great. And I think that against the teams like Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, like these sorts of teams, we got to create clear cut chances, or effectively, we're just going to go off basically hopes and praise. And it goes to show, like, to be fair, looking at the midfield, our midfielders compared to their midfielders, like we've got what Kovacic, Jorginho,
I think you lot
um,
need at least two new midfielders come the January transfer window, at least.
exactly. Well, Kovacic,
I think you lot are
Jorginho,
definitely
who else?
short in that department.
We've got a couple of players as well. I can't remember who it was. I've got the lineup here. We've got Kovacic, Jorginho, um, Loftus Cheek. Mount was a little bit further ahead, etc. And even though some of them are good players, they're not on the same level as Casemiro and these people like that. Like there's
Casemiro's been
there's levels
a
to it.
very good signing for them because he seems to have shored up the midfield just that little bit more. But I'm gonna
Exactly.
keep it short and sweet on the
But
Palace game.
let me
Oh,
say
go on.
something before we move on. Yeah, since Casemiro, yeah, started games there on the 9th of October, Man United had the second best possession out of the top six of 56.6%. The only one who's better than us is Chelsea. Just to throw that
I
out there.
I don't
Yeah.
I
And when
don't
it comes to when it comes to possession one in the final third, Man United are the best in the league. Now that tells me, yeah, that Casemiro, yeah, is doing what he's supposed to do
wait, possession one and the final
In the
third.
final third.
in the final third.
That
Casemiro is
doesn't
doing
Since Casemiro has been
Casemiro
starting
start.
games,
Right, there's a clear
that's
and I
indication.
that's
There's
that's
will.
a
not an indication of Casemiro, because
I'm
possession
telling you,
third
it
in the
is,
final
and
third of
I'm
of,
telling you,
of,
I'm telling
of
you
your
why.
attack. Are you talking about your
Limit,
attack or of the
limit,
opposition
limit,
attack?
limit. Us winning the ball in the final third. Let me tell you why it's an indication of Casemiro improving the team. Because now, instead of worrying, yeah, that oh, you need two people to protect the back four, because usually in a big game it would be Fred and McTominay playing, and they would do all the donkey work. Now we're only playing with one, so that means another player from midfield can push further up the field, yeah, which creates
Yeah,
Yeah,
because since Casemiro started, neither of the other two actually start. I've noticed.
mate, it's peak. And also as well, when it comes to the form teams, the best two teams in the league currently on form at the moment is Newcastle and Chelsea at the moment. Yeah, in the last 6 games, they've got 14 points. In second place is Man City and Arsenal with 13 points. Yeah.
Mm,
Third, third, and when I said we're the third best team on form at the moment, is Man United with 11 points. Yeah, that's
yeah,
that. You know,
it's
so
yeah.
this is what I'm saying.
We've
Like,
not been on form. We've not been on form.
well,
Like I,
mate, all I'm gonna say is that out of your last 6 games, you've won 4, drawn 2. That
we've
you've
not
got
been on
14
form.
and you've got
If
14
you watch
points.
us play, like
No, obviously Newcastle right now, they are the on form team at the moment.
yeah,
You know,
indeed,
they
Yeah,
have won
actually.
they have won their last 2 games.
uh, absolutely.
But I'll
And
keep it short and sweet on Palace, though. We was terrible. How we didn't get beat more than 3-0, I'll never know.
listen,
And
Moors. Before we get into this, yeah, you, bruv, Moors, yeah, I told you, yeah, I told you this before. You
one
didn't want to
second,
listen to me. You didn't want to hear me.
you
You
sit there, like one
denied
second,
the
you
opportunity.
sit there and make this statement, yeah, even in the group chat, like I was the only one who said it.
Nah, Moors. You were the
Who
most
said
Bearing in
who
vocal.
mind,
said
yeah, it
You
who
were
was
the
said
most
what?
vocal.
predictions. We predicted he would be the first sacked.
No. I'm not talking about
No,
that.
other
Yeah,
than you,
you were
what?
questioning. You were questioning Frank
What, Frank
Lampard's
Lampard?
ability to manage a
I,
football team. Like
I
you were
still
the most
do.
vocal.
Mate, he's not a good
Not
manager,
even
man.
Dad was this vocal. Like you were the
Mate,
most vocal.
he's not a good manager. Let's keep it a buck. He's not a good manager. Only because he has to be sacked. Yeah, doesn't mean he ain't gonna get sacked. He's not a good manager. He's
No,
not.
no,
Like I
no,
say,
no.
I'm gonna give him credit where
He's
it's
not.
due. So far this season, he's doing a good job. But let's rewind it. At Derby, he didn't improve them.
He was
He
there for
didn't
one
even
year.
make us. He did, yeah, but he didn't make an improvement. They did exactly the same
Mate,
thing as they did the season
mate,
before.
they had one of the best teams in
And
the league. They
then,
never got promoted.
Yeah, but look at Derby.
then
Like, bruv,
one
like
second,
I don't.
and then
In
he went
relative terms,
Chelsea.
it
I'll
was a
give him
decent.
1 second for the first season at Chelsea. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. There's a transfer ban. But that man
He
showed
done
what he
well.
done.
He done
1 second.
well. He
No,
done
but that's what
well.
I'm saying. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. In that
Hmm.
season, when he had to use Chelsea resources, what they had, he
Hmm.
had a very good season. So I'll give him that. But then what did he show us when he was allowed to spend money? He showed us that he was a fool and ended up getting sacked.
I don't know whether again. That's another thing. I
One
don't know
second,
if he.
1 second. He spent money and that team regressed. You lot regressed
That's
so
that.
bad
No,
from
no. That's
finishing.
harsh.
1
That's
second,
harsh.
because you lot
That's harsh.
It's
no,
not
because with
harsh.
Chelsea resources from your academy and stuff, you lot finished in the Champions League spot. Am I wrong?
Yes. Well, you're not wrong,
So
but
one second.
are you
So
right?
one
You're
second.
right.
So he did that. So he did, like I
Yes.
said, I'll give him a lot of credit for that because, like I said, everyone else was spending. He had to rely on playing youth and what Chelsea had. He couldn't sign no one. So, like I say, I will give him credit for that. But then, like I said, the second he was allowed to spend money, and I'm pretty, was it close to 100 million? I could be wrong.
The,
Something
the
like that.
thing is, the thing is, it's questionable
One second. One second.
whether it
So,
was his players to spend
wait,
to begin with.
hey,
But okay,
one
go
second.
for it.
It
He
doesn't
what?
matter. He
The
had
What
to
do you
players
mean it
pay.
came
doesn't
in.
matter, Dad? What
One
do you mean it
second.
doesn't matter? Hold on. Okay, let's
The
go.
play.
Pause
One
what he's
second.
in.
The players came in.
Hmm.
You lot regressed when you lot got sacked. When he got sacked, you lot was what, like about 16th.
No, it was 60, but about eighth.
You
It
lot was
wasn't
8th.
high. Yeah, we're about eighth. Eighth. Yeah, we're about eighth at that time.
Like, let's just say mid table. You lot was definitely mid table.
Fair enough. I mean,
You lot
yeah,
was mid
if you,
table.
yeah,
Like I say, he showed when he had the money and he signings, it just didn't just seem to click for him. Like I say, rightly or wrongly, I don't know. You Chelsea fans weren't complaining because Tuchel won the Champions League that season when he got sacked. And then he came
shout
into
out
Everton.
Tuchel.
He came into Everton. Yes, it was a hard job when he took over. So I'll give
Mhm.
him that. It wasn't the easiest of jobs, but he didn't improve them. He nearly got them relegated.
Straight facts.
Bear in mind, he nearly
Moles.
got them relegated because if Palace didn't throw away the 2-0 lead against Everton by going on holiday mode for that second half, they probably would have been the team that was relegated because they would have been going into the final day of the season in a relegation battle. like knowing they had to win on the final day with other results going in their favor, more or less. So it would actually not. I think they would have been just outside of it, but they was
In a
definitely
way, didn't
gonna.
they beat Arsenal anyway? If am I going mad? Was it Arsenal they beat on the final day or something?
They might have, but by that point, if that's what
No,
happened,
they
it's
lost
not
it.
they. Did they lose?
Um,
But they didn't need to win their last game. Once they
Yeah,
got the 3 points against Palace, it solidified them in the Premier League. So I'm not gonna lie, based on what I saw at Everton, and not just based on him at Everton, because like I say, he brought players in that didn't improve the team. Because look at Deli Ali.
Moles,
Deli Ali is now playing
Moles,
in Turkey.
Moles. Let me tell you
But he
something.
didn't
Yeah,
improve it. Once again, he didn't improve it. So I was going off what we all saw. And if we are correct, like I say, if that form continued into the new season, they would have been in the same place. But like I say, credit where it's due. He's shored up the defense. The defense is looking a lot better. Gordon is showing up. Gordon, from even in the summer, I was saying he's a quality player. So I understood why you lot was in for him. But he's got that team, and the team's actually playing decent football at this moment in time. I'm not going to say come after the World Cup or whatnot, it might not go downhill. We don't know. But for what is there now, was I wrong that he would be the first man just sacked? Yes. Did I see Everton playing this good? No. But credit where it's due. He earns that respect from me for what he's done right now.
Moles. I've got a lot of problems with what you're saying. A lot of problems here, bruv.
Draw for it.
Let's just rewind back here. Let's rewind back. He
Where we
let me
rewind
just,
back
let
to
me just
Derby.
let me just rewind back to Derby. Yeah, let me just describe the clubs here and where he came into him and where he left and what they how they are when he left them immediately afterwards. He went into Derby. They were fighting for figures for the playoffs and promotion, um, and he just about done as well as the last manager did
He
in
got
that
to the playoffs and
position.
lost in the final.
Yeah, he got that's what the last one did. So I'm not really. It's not really a failure there
But
necessarily.
it is. It was the same thing that happened with Derby the season beforehand.
Well,
So
well,
he didn't upgrade. It was the
it
same
was.
as.
It wasn't a
sorry,
downgrade as
just
well.
to tell you,
It was a
just out of
in one
curiosity.
year. In one year,
OTC,
he
OTC,
stagnated.
OTC. I'm gonna have to cut you there. So, him, yeah, in your opinion, yeah, your youth players are the best in the country, yeah. So signing those youth players to play for Derby
I
that
don't know.
season,
I
yeah,
don't watch.
Mason
I don't watch
Mount. I
youth
think
yeah.
football.
if I remember correctly, Mason
Mason
Mount
Mount
did
was
have a
there,
I
good
don't watch
season.
youth people. I don't
yeah.
watch youth football, so I couldn't tell you.
No, but my point is, yeah, do you rate Mason Mount? Yes or no?
I rate Mason Mount, yes,
Okay,
but
right.
if
So
you
we
ask me,
wait,
I
let
rate
me
Mason
finish. Let
Mount
me
age
finish.
of
Let me finish.
16 or
So let me.
17. I don't
So let
know.
me
I
finish.
never watched him
So
at that age.
let me finish. Yeah. So Mason Mount, yeah, what was it? Was it 3 seasons ago? He was at Derby. Was it 3 seasons or 4 seasons ago?
I think
3 seasons
three,
ago, 3 or 4. Yeah,
four,
nonetheless,
four,
yeah,
four,
4. Yeah.
four.
So 4 years ago, yeah, he was at Derby. Yeah. Right. Mind you, yeah, he's already gone to Holland. Yeah. Right, and he was destroying the Dutch league. Yeah, mind you. Yeah. So he's gone into the Championship. Yeah, a lower standard than the Dutch league. Yeah. Right. He had one of the best players in the league, and he couldn't get them promoted. Why are we making excuses here? Like,
You
come on,
say,
make it make sense. He
wait,
had
wait,
one of
wait.
the best players. He had one of the best players in the championship at the time,
Dad,
in
I'm going
Mason
to
Mount,
fact.
and he
Dad,
couldn't. Wait, it's a
yeah, but
fact. He had one of the best players in the league. Yeah, he had
Dan,
one of the best teams in the league, and man couldn't get promoted. That's a
Dan,
fact.
Dan. I am not going to cuss Frank Lampard for being there for one season. Yeah, one season. Yeah, probably Mason Mount's first season in the championship or at the highest level of English football in terms of the.
Mate,
It's
mate, he
different to
was in the
Holland. You know, it's different to Holland, bro. Like,
mate.
let's not.
Holland's a better standard,
No, but
technically.
no, but the challenges are not the same
Technically,
challenges.
mate,
You know, it's not.
wait, what do you wait? So what do you rate more, like the physicality of the championship here, or technical football of the Dutch league? Because I know which one I'm going for.
I, I think for a player like Mason Mount, it's more easier to adapt to the Dutch league than it is to the Championship football. For a player like him, for other players, it's the opposite. But for him specifically,
I'm telling
I,
you now, yeah.
I think it's easier for him to go through.
I'm telling you now, yeah. If you got techers, yeah, as you say, yeah, Mason Mount's got techers, yeah, then the championship, yeah, should be easy because you just use your techers to your advantage, yeah, and draw these men out for fun.
Not
Because you want,
necessarily because
yeah,
because if
of
you
course
look
it is,
at
because
no Because if you look at Sancho, if you look at Sancho, a techie player, he struggles more with English teams than he does with German teams.
Do you watch the Championship?
No, I don't. I'm telling you.
I do.
Okay. Oh no, hold on.
So
Dan,
why
hold on, Dan. Yeah. Let me just go on Frank Lampard, because you're diverting me to another topic.
I'm not diverting.
I know.
You're talking about something you don't know. Then how does that work?
Dad is jumping. Okay, Dad is jumping in front of walls here, trying to do this like bulletproof security guard. Dad, let me go for balls from Dad.
Dan, let him throw his bullets, Dan. Let him throw these bullets.
Dan, you need to stop jumping in front of the bullets, fam. It's not like, fam. Anyway, we digress. He got them to the exact same position as the manager before had. So really, truly stagnated.
With a better team.
Wait, no, Dad. But I don't know the other teams around him. So let's not go there. Yeah, I'm not assessing every other championship team.
No, I'm telling you, he had a better Derby team than he had before. So he failed.
That's your opinion. I don't know.
Let's just leave him to make his point, though.
Go on.
Let's go. Okay. He comes to Chelsea.
I want these bullets.
Derby Derby are done out here. So clearly they're not a well-run club. He goes to Chelsea. Yeah, he has a transfer ban in his first season, and with the limited resources, gets us into top 4. Bearing in mind, certain managers have had more and still finished in Europa League. Let me put it out there. Yeah, he ends up in the Champions League. Okay, he got us to a cup final. We end up losing, but he got us to a cup final. To be fair, and that was a good result.
Wait, question. No. What was the Europa League shot? Who was that at? Just like curiosity.
Huh? Bruv,
what was the...
take it as you would, yeah. Take it as you would, yeah.
You
then the following season, yeah.
Yeah, God.
He then gets give. Well, I don't. The thing is, it's difficult to assess whether that was his plays that he bought or the club's plays, because over the last 3-4 seasons beforehand, all of the managers have acquired poor players from the board, etc. So he also inherited poor players in that same scenario, that same function. So I can't turn around and say that's all Frank Lampard's players, because if I go back 4 or 5 years beforehand, are all of those signings or most of those signings good players? No, they weren't. Really and truly. So I can't really put that on Frank Lampard in that scenario. However, he lost a bit of professionalism. Yeah,
that's a bunch of bollocks right there.
He left a difficult club from Derby, that goes to the difficult club in the Premier League. He then gets sanctioned by the government. Then he goes.
One second. Let's be clear though. Yeah, he jumped his ship. He tried to run before he could walk.
That's true. You are right. You are right. You're right.
Can I say something?
It takes longer for good players to be good coaches. Then he goes to Everton. Yeah,
not necessarily.
Everton, although, well, that's not
necessarily.
One second. Palace tried to get him, which I'm glad they didn't, but he didn't want to go to Palace, allegedly, because it was too much of a rebuild job, which was his words. Just saying, those were allegedly his words. It was too much of a rebuild job.
That's what, to be fair, like, we can read between the lines. We can read between the lines. It could be down to, like, honestly, like,
1 second, just saying.
Not everything coaches say are the truth. It could just be down to.
But allegedly, he was the front runner.
Maybe Everton paid more money. Maybe Everton paid more. I don't know. Yeah, he goes to Everton, the most poorly run club, arguably the most poorly run club in the league. I think you'll find it very difficult to put another club ahead of them in the most poorly run club in the league. Their co-owner got sanctioned by the government. They're one of the lead players.
I'll give you that. They are a bad run club.
One of their lead players is what was he? We got a sentence to prison. The manager,
Sigurdsson. He didn't get sentenced or anything. Just for the record, whilst he was allegedly that player, he never went prison. He just never played for the club again, and because he was seen at the Women's Euros in the summer at games for Iceland, because his niece or his cousin plays for the national team.
Yep,
that's
correct.
True. You are correct, indeed. However, that is a very poorly run club. The person who was not even before him.
What I will say is, 1 second. What I will say is that out of all the teams that have had players with certain allegations against them, they handled theirs the best because whilst they didn't digress who it was, he was never seen to be seen in and around the club again.
You are right. You are right. But we're not deviating. We're going
Yeah,
straight
we're
for the
not going to
bullets here.
deviate. We're
We're still
just.
going to shape for the bullets, fam. I know you're trying to throw like little random
I'm
thing
waiting
here.
for. I'm waiting for these
Mate,
bullets.
we'll
He
finish,
he
man. Finish.
is the only run club in the league. Bear in mind, he's got players
Burnley.
that are high
Burnley.
wages. Yeah, high
Burnley.
wages. Not for the resources that they've got. Not really.
What are
No.
you talking about? What are you talking about? They've got money to spend.
One second.
Yeah?
Let's just let him finish
Down
this.
with his deviations,
One
fam.
second.
Yeah.
Let's just.
Down
I'm
with
waiting for this.
the two previous managers that were there before him, yeah, were Rafa Benitez, a serial cup winner, and the person who won the
Now, who was
Champions League
before? One
straight
second. Who was
afterwards.
before? Who was
Champions
before?
League.
Yeah, who was before Rafa Benitez?
I think it was Carlo.
Ancelotti.
Don Carlo.
Don Carlo.
Yeah.
Don Carlo. Amazing that Don Carlo was there.
I think it was
He
was it
didn't
Marco
do
Silva?
too
I don't know
bad
the
there.
timelines.
He didn't
No,
do
no,
too
no,
bad.
no.
He come after Marco because
He
then
cut,
Rafa
bruv.
Benitez was the
He
next one
cut. He
up.
cut. You know
Yeah,
that.
'cause-
He's a big boy. He's been in the game for a hot minute. Yeah. He looked at that club and said, "You know what, bruv? You lot are not poorly. You lot are not rightly run. I cut. I listened to Rafa Benitez.
That's not the facts. That's not the facts.
Didn't Real come in
now
for him?
now you're twisting the facts. Real Madrid came in.
He did the
yeah,
whole
he
season
said-
in it, and then he did
Mate,
Real.
mate, did he not do 2 seasons at Everton and then Real Madrid came in?
Could have
Come
been.
on,
I know it was
he did
definitely
2
one. I know it was
seasons.
definitely one.
He definitely
Because
did.
I know
2
he
seasons.
bought James
I'm pretty
Rodriguez.
sure. I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh,
He did 2
no.
seasons.
He done one full. It's tough because he came in, I think midway and left midway. So it's
Mate,
It's not 2 seasons.
he did,
It's like
he did,
half and
mate,
half.
he did well at Everton, yeah. And to be fair on Benitez, he started off well at Everton. And he just went pear shaped because at one
Yeah,
stage
it's
he was
been
on top.
Rafa
One shape, he was,
Benitez, mate.
one
mate.
shape, he was on top of the table, mate.
Who's got more
Everton.
experience? Who's a better manager, Rafa Benitez or Frank Lampard? I would say Rafa Benitez. And if Rafa and Don Carlo can't get a tune out of these man, big man.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
Yo,
about?
One second.
What are you talking about? Carlo J did well at
Ancelotti
Everton. What are you
did.
talking about?
to an
Ancelotti did
extent,
get them
but it started
playing.
getting a bit sour anyway.
But
towards the back end.
Benitez was always in an uphill battle because the fans never really wanted him because of his allegiances to Liverpool.
The
And he
club
still
weren't
got them
listening
top.
to him.
And
So-
he
The
and he
club
still
weren't
got
listening
them.
to him. He even
And he
said it.
still wait, you're twisting the reality here. He still managed to get them top of the table at one point. That's a fact. So what are we saying?
Like
Would you
I
want
say,
top it-
one second.
Yeah,
Like
at
I say,
at one stage, Benitez had them top of the table, mate. So
what I will say is, yeah,
Mate, that's after
like I
30
say,
games.
Lampard
No.
didn't come into a great job, but the fact that he chose the situation at Everton, okay, granted, Palace had lost a lot of players, but you went into a club that was battling relegation. You barely improved them. Like, let's be clear, you barely improved them.
No, that's.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. You just about scraped relegation. You just about scraped staying into the Premier League.
With arguably the poorest dressing room in terms of mentality, definitely. And
Yeah, but he played 1 second.
run
But
club.
you got to think he
How
plays
big-
a part
bro,
in that. How is
No,
that as
no,
a
no,
manager?
you can't. No,
You do have to take some blame because some of the players he brought in, i.e., the Dele Allis of the world, were
Didn't
poor.
work. Didn't work. Fact.
I
He
agree.
brought players
I
in
agree.
January. So this is the issue. He still brought players in January, and the players he brought in didn't really work. Again, like I said,
Muller, can I
for
say
this
something?
season, go on.
Right. Derby County, yeah. There were when he was at Derby County, yeah, there was a club here who was spending money, which he did spend money at Derby, yeah, and brought in players on loan, yeah, spent their money, yeah. Now, where are they now? Clubs pray the match
Wait.
will be extinct, mate. Why? Because he spent
wait,
no.
Dan,
Let
how
me
much money
finish.
did he spend?
Let me finish. He spent money at Derby. This is a fact, yeah. Now, yeah, they got no money. They're broke. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, he ran them into the ground.
Yo,
Yeah,
yo, Dan,
Everton,
you got way of twisting the facts. How much money did he spend for them to be? If you're, these are big claims, Dan. You're telling me he dragged them to no.
Let me finish. He delivered the nail in the coffin. He didn't spend all the money, but he delivered the nail in the coffin. Because as soon as he left it, they went downhill. That's a fact.
Like I was saying, Rooney
Everton-
definitely did a better job there, in my opinion.
No, he did. Everton, yeah, right. They're in trouble financially. This is a fact. This is why they had this one of their best players in Richarlison. Why? Because instead of not spending money in January, which they should have done, Frank Lampard insisted on spending cash, which didn't
He
work.
even had Richarlison.
Make it make
No, he
sense
weren't.
here.
He weren't fit. He weren't fit that time.
What are you talking about? He was fit. He was scoring goals for them. He was
Richarlison
the
was
reason
playing.
why.
He was
Mate,
scoring. He was the reason they
Nah,
stayed up.
stayed up.
I
What are
think
you talking
Reason they
Richarlison
about?
had
stayed
a
up.
big.
He was the
No, he
reason
came
why
in
they
the
stayed
back
up,
end, but
mate.
I think that.
Mate, he
Wait,
was the
hold
Yeah,
on.
but
reason
his
why. He
goals
was
was
the
what kept them
reason.
up.
What?
I agree, but I think that
Mate,
what
don't
Dad is
take it.
talking about through that period of time, that in the January transfer window, he was injured for that time.
Oh, but wait. So
So you
let's get
can't
back
just
to this
say that
real
he
quickly.
hasn't.
Yeah. So 1 second. So at what point, yeah, have you proved me to for my opinion here? Because like I said, you even just backed up with how poor he's kind of been. Now, bearing in mind, yeah,
No,
let's
I
take
haven't.
facts though, yeah. No,
No, I
because you
haven't.
kind of did because you
No, if
haven't
he's not,
you haven't actually officially disproved my point that
Nothing.
everything he did
no,
leading up
no. What
to the
I'm
season.
proving, what you
You
lot are
haven't
saying
proven
to me,
anything. You haven't proven
you
anything.
lot are no. You lot are telling me, you lot keep banging on like he's the worst manager in the league. Now
One
I'm
second,
looking
one
at the
second,
clear facts, and in
one
the clear
second.
facts, there, even though he's not done massive improvements, he clearly is not making a huge
Now,
regression. In,
one second. So 1 second. So in my opinion, when we gave a prediction pre-season,
yeah,
pre to the start of the season, what on paper and what facts did you have that could disprove the prediction I made? But 1 second, not only me, because I wasn't the only one that predicted him to be the first manager gone. Because factually, if we're going into the season, he gave us all the facts that you needed to be considered, and I'm pretty sure the bookies even had him as one of the favorites to be sacked first.
I'm sure they did.
listen, I don't go by
Like,
bookies. I go
don't get
by
me,
what
don't get me
I've.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. He proved me wrong. Like I said, did I expect Everton to start the way they have? Hell no. I didn't expect Everton to be as decent as they've been. Like I'll say, he's made some excellent signings with the likes of Cody, Tarkowski. He's made brilliant signings, and I'll give him credit where it's due. But like I say, you keep making out like I send for him every time.
No, you don't
When
simply with that, but you've dismissed him completely,
I'll
and you
still
said he's a
dismiss him.
poor coach. You said he's a
I,
poor
I,
coach.
I still think he is. I personally still think
No,
he is.
not
He's
by
done
the
a
top.
he's doing a
Not
good
by
job now, right
no,
now.
not
But I
by
don't think
by.
he's. But 1 second, let's clear this up though, yeah, because technically speaking, the way the league is right now, he could be back down near the bottom end of the table if with a few results going as wins. Like that's how close the table is from like 18th to I think it might be 8th. There's not many points between them.
Yeah,
Like
because
Palace
it's early
are only
days.
3 points off Liverpool, and I think
It's
Liverpool are what, 8th.
it's early days. Liverpool can still
Yeah,
finish in
it's
top
early
four.
days. But what I'm saying is the table's still closed, so he could still end up in a relegation battle, just like a load of other teams could end up in that battle.
Most,
And I think
most.
this season's going to be a weird season because we're going to see a lot of injuries coming up to the World Cup as we've been seeing. But like I say, I'll give credit where it's due. I was wrong about my prediction. I held my hands up at the time. But for some reason, you seem to hold this one
No, I'm
as
banging on about
if
it.
I made a vendetta about someone in your family.
No. You
It's Frank,
specifically said
it's Frank's
you
Uncle
specifically
Frank.
no because there's one thing saying like okay, for example, with me and Steven Gerrard, yeah, I didn't think that I don't know if he was going to get sacked. I did not know, but I never said. Well, I saw you done a couple of decent things in Scotland, etc. So I wasn't quick to turn around and say, "Oh, he's got to be a crap manager." No, I just said, "Look, let's wait and see." He probably going to do a little bit decent, but let's just wait and see. You man just went straight for the brother's neck here. You went straight for the brother's neck here, and now he's what? Ironically, yeah, he rejected Crystal Palace. Yes, he said with his,
We're a better
he
run
said
club than Everton. A
he,
much better
that
run club.
that
We're
that
probably one of the best run clubs in the league.
yeah, but like for example, let's just say Everton offered I don't know much more money than what he would get at Palace. He's not gonna come out and clearly say, "Oh, Everton paid me more money," bruv. He's not gonna say that. Let's be honest. He's gonna come up with an excuse. So
We've got one
From
of the best academy teams in the country by far at both levels, by far. And we've only been playing at that level for 2 seasons properly. Like
the, mm,
like I say, check the check the tables, check the stats. We
I
missed
don't
out
think that makes it. I don't
on
think that makes a difference for
no,
Frank
but
Lampard.
no, it might not make a difference for him. But what I'm saying is, in terms of how clubs are run, like I say, I will say this with confidence. We're probably the best run club in the league in terms of everything being transparent from top to bottom. Like it was our chairman that was pushing for Project Restart.
Fair
Like
enough, but you don't know if your
we,
club offered the most money to him anyway.
here's my thing. I didn't want him, so I was glad.
Fair enough. The guy that you wanted, he smacked you like 3-0, bro. The same guy that you
Yeah,
thought
but
dead, yeah.
we slapped them a couple times last season.
No.
It happens.
Well, look,
But the difference is
I think
we're
you got to
gracious in
rethink
defeat,
Lampard.
innit? No, 1 second, we're gracious in our defeat. You know when we slapped them in the FA Cup? Oh, it was a fluke goal, this, a fluke. The guy just has bare excuses. The
I didn't
guy's
say
not
this.
man enough to a thing when he loses,
Nah,
he'll find an
bruv, no,
excuse.
no, no,
Go
no,
back and
no,
watch
no.
his
Don't say
interview,
nah.
yeah? 1 second, 1 second. Go
He's
back
mad
and
enough.
find it.
Do
One
you know how
second.
I know he's mad
Go
enough?
back
You saw
and
him in
find his
2012.
interview.
You saw him in 2012.
1
Bayern Munich.
second.
Nah. This is
Just go
personal.
back and find his
Nah,
interview, yeah? Post Palace,
my head's gone. My head's
Everton
gone.
FA Cup game, yeah, and just listen to how salty he is that Palace beat them.
My
Bearing
head's
in
gone.
mind we outplayed them the whole game. But
Mo,
anyway, let's move on. Let's
nah.
move on.
Give him. You got. Listen.
Let's
All I'm
just
saying
skip
is,
a
yeah,
quick.
you better hope that he doesn't finish above Palace. Yeah, I swear. If he finishes above Palace, yeah, after all of the smack talk you've been giving him prior early on, and the
Big
lack
man.
of respect that you've been showing,
1 second.
the legend himself,
How much
bruv, you're
money has he
getting it.
spent this summer? And like how many? Like I say, it's different things.
No,
Like I
you're
say,
the best.
we,
Listen. You're the best run club in the league. You're supposed to be providing him the finances and the resources for him to spend the money.
no. Here's my thing.
Everton
Wait
are
1 second.
broke, fam.
You see, when I say we're the best run club for that, it's because we stay within our means. Like our books don't need to be cooked. Everton, if they had got relegated, they would have been struggling because you see their financial fair play thing, the way their things set up.
Yeah, and look
They're
what he's doing.
screwed.
Look, he's got players there with
No,
big egos
they got a
and their heads
they got a
in the clouds.
leeway for a thing for this one. But like I say, this season's still early. I expect Everton to stay in the league because it would have been if he had got them relegated, would you be sitting on this high horse?
Listen, if he
had got
yeah,
them relegated, you wouldn't be sitting here saying that.
if you got the relegated,
Because he would have
it's
played
hard
more
to
games
say
in the league
because-
season.
No, it's
He would
hard
have
to
played.
say
He played
because
more games in the league season than the previous manager.
let me tell you
But
something. Yeah, Rafa Benitez came to Chelsea. He was hated by the Chelsea fans. Yeah, we did not want him for his antics at Liverpool.
Yeah,
You know,
neither did
and his talks against
Everton
Chelsea.
fans.
And he came to us, and won us the Europa League, and came to us and made us finish third with I wouldn't say the best squad, but we made us finish third. Yeah, in that league, we had Asian squad. He helped us finish third. Yeah, this Everton team. Yeah, he the same Benitez and the same Ancelotti left there. Or Ancelotti left there, won the Champions League, and Benitez,
Ancelotti left there
the
for
great
something a lot
Benitez,
better.
the great Benitez, yeah, went to Everton, and even I watched the whole interview that he was saying. The board were all over the place, fam. It was like a monkey board, fam. Yeah, they were all over
It
the
is.
place.
That's not
Yeah.
a secret. Everyone knows their
So,
club's badly run.
so
But
if
the
Frank
issue
Lampard
Benitez
does
had was
decent,
anything he did wrong was always going to be magnified by 100 because the fans did not want him because he's Liverpool. That's the issue you have. But let's move on.
that's a perception, but I
No,
agree that
was
I
a
agree.
fact.
I
Like I
agree
say,
that's
he
true.
was-
I agree that's true, but that
But
wasn't
like I say,
wasn't why
I'm
he was
man enough to
struggling.
say Frank Lampard proved me wrong so far this season. He didn't get sacked first. It's not to say he can't be sacked this season. I don't expect him to. I expect him to have a decent season once that whole squad.
No, you don't.
fit.
No, you don't. How can you expect him to have a good season when you expect him to get relegated? Make it make sense.
One
Bruv.
second. I didn't put Evan in. Did I put Evan in my relegation thing?
Yeah, you
I
did.
think I might have. That's because of the way he was. But I can change my prediction.
Nah.
Done a lot better.
One
One second. It was a prediction. It was a prediction. I'm not being
Yo.
shameless. I'm man enough to admit the guy's done a lot better than I thought. And based on the squad and the way the squad's playing, with the signing he's made, I expect them to be 13th, 12th, where they'll finish the season.
Do you expect Palace
I
to finish
think
above them?
I expect us based on what I'm seeing right now, anywhere between 15th and 10th, based on how we're playing right now. We ain't playing the best. If
Well,
we
you didn't answer
can
the question.
turn,
You even like Boris, bro.
I'm
Do
not. I'm
you
just saying.
expect
I
to
think
finish
we'll
above them?
finish. Yeah,
Yeah.
or we'll probably finish level on points with them. I expect us to be in and around them. I don't expect, like I say, if we played games and played properly the whole way through, I would say I would expect us to get about eighth. But because we don't seem to be consistent at the moment, I don't. And I'm not going to say it's a Patrick Vieira issue. I just think somehow the squad for certain games just ain't showing up.
I've
Like
got a
he's
question.
picking. Go on.
Fair enough.
Do you believe OTC that Everton will finish higher than Leicester?
Will Everton finish higher than Leicester? That's a good question.
Because I don't.
I
I don't think they will. I think they'll finish lower than Leicester, and
I
that
don't
tells
know.
me
I don't know because I
that
don't
was.
know. That's unfair because I don't know what Leicester. Because I think Brendan Rodgers will get sacked. So I don't know who
I don't. I
You,
they're
think
going
you,
he's
to.
starting to turn things around.
you think you'll get such, yeah, mate?
Yeah.
Put this into context, yeah. You're saying that Everton, yeah, are doing well, yeah, right? That's what you're saying, yeah,
No, I'm
right?
not. That's not what I'm saying.
So
That's
what I
not what I'm
mean,
saying.
wait, so
I'm saying
So
Everton,
they're
what
not
are
doing.
you saying?
I'm
mate,
saying.
it's
I'm
all,
saying
I
he's
no
not a
no
poor manager,
wait,
and they're not doing poorly. So that's what I'm saying.
so they're not doing poorly, right? So
No,
why are they only 2 points above Leicester? And Leicester have been shit
because it's the early days in the Premier
because
League.
because
There's not many
what?
points. There's not many points difference.
What are you
Well,
talking
see, like I
about?
said, anywhere between 17th.
Mate,
If Leicester was to pull off a miracle and beat Man City, depending
and
on the margin
Everton
of goals,
and Everton don't win, they go higher. Yeah,
yeah. So Everton of
Yeah,
margin, they'll jump up to 11th. But it's like if Palace win their game in hand, they jump up to ninth, or give or take. No, it'll be ninth because thingy's goal difference far superior. Unless Palace won like
and this is my point,
15
yeah.
nil. Like I
And this
say,
is my
it's
point.
mad.
And you have to remember, Everton supposedly had a good defense, right? Right, and they're in the minus right now for goal difference.
Yeah,
This 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 is
prior to last game, they've been touched up a bit still.
this is how mad it is here for Everton.
how
Like,
many
you
goals have
know,
they conceded? They conceded
I
16
don't know
goals.
I don't know how many goals they conceded, yeah,
No,
but
sorry, Everton conceded. No. Everton
their
conceded 12 goals.
but their goal difference is -1.
They
So they
conceded
scored
12
11
goals.
There's a
and
There's
scored
only
fundamental
11.
there's a fundamental issue there.
there's only three teams that conceded less goals than them. That's Arsenal, Man City.
And
No,
look
four
at the once
teams.
again,
Arsenal, Man City,
look at the difference
Chelsea,
in league
and
position.
Newcastle.
Yeah, and look
Yeah,
at the difference
they
in league
haven't scored a
position.
lot. They scored 11 goals and they conceded 12. That's not
Right. And so
that's
do
not
you
the
reject,
defense problem. That's the attack problem.
mate,
Yeah, once
it's
again, look
both.
at Man United last season. Though Man United finished what was it sixth last season, fifth or sixth,
Hmm?
Sixth.
and their goal difference was 0. So it don't really matter because, like I
Well,
say,
how many got?
if you
Well, that's the bit that we're talking after
yeah,
11 games.
one
Like
second. But if
they
that's the
have
case,
got a good defense. Look at
Palace
look at
last
them.
season
They
had
got
I
the
think
top
it
five
was their
defenses in the league.
one second.
Yeah, they
Palace
got top five
finished,
defenses in the league.
but after the season, at the end of last season, I think Palace. I'll check it now, but I'm pretty sure Palace had like one of the best, eighth best defense in the league.
Yeah,
Come the end of a season, and we
yeah.
finished very low. Well, not very low, but we didn't finish. I think we finished like 11th. Nope, 12th.
And
So
you finished 12th with the eighth best defense in the league. I mean, that's not really too shocking because it's it's defense and attack. So defensively, they've been
yeah,
good.
we had the eighth
Attack,
best league defense in the league, but it don't really mean nothing
yeah,
because then when you look at it, Watford only conceded 53 goals, and there was numerous teams above them that conceded more, like Man United, Leicester,
I mean, it does mean something because
Newcastle,
it's a foundation of a
Brentford,
team. But it means
Southampton's
something.
conceded 67,
No,
Leeds
it means
conceded 69. Burnley got relegated with a better defense than most teams. You can have a good defense, but you got to transpire that into points. So
True. I
their
agree.
defense might be good. Look at Preston. Up until the other day, they had the best goal difference in all of England. If you want to look at it, conceded, I think it was 5, but they only had scored 5, and they were still in playoff contention in the championship. So
That's fair.
again, in context, it don't really mean much.
I agree. I agree. You got to say that to Dan. Dan was saying they're on minus points there. I don't know what he thought.
No, I'm just saying because you were talking about how about the defenses and things, but
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't really come the end of a season use that because, like I say, you can pick flaws in that argument throughout.
The
I
point
mean,
the point I was making was is
mm,
that you're trying to give them credit, yeah, for something that's not really there. Like for me, I don't see why they're getting credit for anything. To me, they've been average in my opinion.
so to you, they haven't had a good defense.
Me, they've been average. But
No. That's I asked it like to you.
I just
Okay,
told you they've been average.
do you think no no? But you're talking about the whole team as overall. Do you think their defense has been good, bad, average? Their defense. Oh, I'm talking about not attack. I'm talking about just the defense.
I think Tarkowski's been good. I think Pickford's picked up his form. I don't think the rest of the defense has been anything special. No,
No, I'm talking about them as an overall unit.
average. There's only two of them have been good.
Okay, okay, fair enough. That's what you believe? That's what you believe.
Mate, so you're gonna tell me, yeah, that their right back's been good or their left back's been good because they haven't. They've been
Now
getting skimmed all the time.
I'm talking about
That's
them
part of the defense. But
as
that's
a
part of the
whole.
defense, no?
I'm talking about them as a whole unit. If you
Mate,
concede,
I'm not being
I'm
funny.
only
I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny, yeah. But if you're having to dive into tackles, yeah, lastway.com, yeah, that tells me, yeah, that yeah, the centre back or the centre backs are doing a job, but the left back, right back ain't doing a job. The defensive midfielders ain't doing the job, which they don't have really, do they? You know, when you're playing a Roby in there, it's all peak. And then you got your goalkeeper putting off, yeah. As much as I don't like Pickford, he's putting off world class saves every game because guess what? The defensive unit ain't working properly.
I
You know,
mean,
it's no different. It's no different to 8 years ago when De Gea was considered to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world because he was making all kinds of saves. Because guess what, the defensive unit wasn't working properly, so he had to make saves. So you can't turn around and tell me, yeah, that oh yeah, they've been playing well. No, the goalkeeper's been playing well. It's no different to the other night, yeah, when Man Utd was playing against Tottenham and Hugo Lloris turned into bloody beef on me. You can't turn around and say because just say they managed to get a draw out of it, right? And it was 0-0. Yeah, we can't say the defense played well. No, the goalkeeper played well. Now we have to be realistic here. Now, come on,
fair enough. You can say
we're giving credit to people we don't deserve credit.
that. Fair enough. We have to agree to disagree. I don't think you give. I personally, if
Mate,
they
are
finish,
you
if
watching the games? Are you watching the
Dan,
games? Are
I
you just
think
going? Are you
personally,
watch? Wait,
I think personally, if they
Are you
concede,
watching the games? Are you watching the games? Or are you just going by stats?
Dan,
Because if you're
Dan,
watching the games here, you can see the mistakes.
Dan, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one because I think if
Mate,
they concede,
can you answer the question? Can you answer the question? Are you watching the
that,
games? Yes or no?
Dan, I
Are you
watched a
watching the
couple of,
games?
I watched a couple of their games. They've been looking defensively solid. When we played against them, they look defensively solid.
Their left back gets ripped apart all the time, and so does their right back. Hence why they had to bring back bloody how old is Seamus Coleman? 35 or whatever he is. He had to bring him back into the team here because that young buck was getting ripped to shreds me. And then even then he got ripped to shreds.
Well, we have to
That
that on this one. We might have to agree to disagree. Yeah, I think they've been good. I won't say they've been great, but I think they've been good defensively, as shown by the stats. They've conceded they're amongst the top 5 defensive teams in the league. And I think that they've
mate,
been quite
you're telling
resolute
me,
in their defense.
you're telling me that,
I
but
think
I'm
they.
telling you,
I don't even know if they got the most. Who's? I don't think as a team they've got the most clean sheets. I'm not sure. That might have to be between them Wolves or something like that. But they've been defensively.
did you say Wolves?
I'm not too sure who's got the most
Mate.
defensive clean sheets this season. I don't know. That remains to be. I'm gonna have to look up later on. But we're gonna
Clean
have to
sheet.
agree to disagree on that one.
Clean sheets. Newcastle
With
Newcastle.
how many?
Yeah,
With how many?
with 5.
5. Okay. Okay.
followed by Liverpool joint. Mind you, to be fair, Liverpool, United, Tottenham, Wolves, Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, and Leicester all pretty much share. Oh wait, Man City have five as well, so it's tied between Man City and thing. But from Liverpool,
Wait, so
United, Tottenham, Wolves, Arsenal, Brentford,
how many clean
Brighton,
sheets are Man United on?
Leicester, four. Four.
Four clean sheets. You know what the consistent basis of those four clean sheets are.
No Maguire.
No Maguire and Varane's playing in all of those games.
Mate. Oh, okay.
Yes, but let's move on to a different section. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk incidences over the weekend. Like
Don't even.
one that really makes me laugh is the Lloris one. Like that one makes me laugh because, like I say, as someone that's played in goal,
Wait, just to
I
clarify, you talk about
saw
the one of Callum Wilson
which led to the
when they
goal.
collapse. Okay.
It's not. It's not foul.
It's not a foul. And it made me laugh when I saw Ben Foster. I think he tweeted. I didn't bother watching his video about it because he was going to talk about why it should be a foul. And
Mm,
for me, it sounded like he was really going to make all the excuses where I'd think, yeah, it's just you're looking for protection. Because I don't think every touch on a goalkeeper, even in the box, is a foul. I think goalkeepers are the most overprotected players in the league,
mm-hmm,
especially on set pieces. And it really annoys me because I think half the time you could probably just breathe on them and it feels like a free kick will
mm,
get given. And so when I saw Lloris try to moan about the decision, you could argue, yeah, Callum Smith puts his arm around him, sort of thing,
You mean
whatever.
Wilson? You mean Wilson?
Well, sorry, yeah, Wilson, sorry, but it didn't do enough, and you didn't even try to think. And the way they come so close, so quick, anyway,
mm,
neither of you was going to be able to make a change in position to not come together.
mm-hmm,
Like not everyone's Manuel Neuer in it. You're not going to be able to do that. Get out there, move the ball effectively. So for me, like I say, when I saw it, I think everything about it was correct. It should never have even been looked at by VAR. Like the fact that they took so long looking at it as well. I ain't gonna lie. When I see how long it was taking, I thought, oh, maybe they're gonna actually go ahead and just rule it out. But like I say, for this one, I was glad that obviously the goal stood.
yeah. That was yeah. I completely agree with you on that point. Yeah. I think that yeah. I think
Then what?
Lloris. I think the way Lloris is running at him, I just don't think that. I think if anything, Lloris bumped into Wilson and not the other way around. But so yeah,
I mean,
good
to be
decision
quite
by the ref.
honest, to be quite honest, yeah, you see the whole. It wasn't a foul. Like obviously Wilson couldn't get out of the way. Lloris should go to the gym, and that's that. Like
Yeah,
it's
because
really
like I
that
say,
simple.
there was nothing in it to even warrant a thing. But then what other one? So obviously the McTominay one got brought up, and obviously it
It's
was a
it's
right
a
call.
it's a penny. Like there's so it's nuts
But
to bust,
the
and
thing
maybe
that annoys me with that penalty decision, and not in the fact that it was given, it's the fact that how inconsistently penalties
yeah,
like that are given.
because mate, it happens every game. It's just a case of McTominay got caught because the ref had a
Yeah,
clear
because I
view.
remember a
Like
few seasons ago we had one. I think it was against Watford on Deeney, and Deeney kind of basically said to the ref, "Look, he's doing it."
Mm,
And then I remember watching because it was from like a corner, and the first one weren't given, but obviously he made the ref aware. And then I remember watching the second corner come in. The ref weren't even watching the corner; the ref was just watching the action. And as soon as the tackle went in, like the hold went in, obviously the ref blew, gave the penalty. But it's
mm,
like I want to see if you either be more consistent with how it's done,
mm,
or you also take a slight not I don't want to say dismiss them, but obviously I think it's got to be done in a consistent way where to a certain degree, like I say, the level of holding that McTominay did, there was just no argument. So the fact that they even protested, because was that the decision that led to Man United being charged today for failing to control players?
I believe so. Yeah, they never really went into detail. I think it was, but to be quite honest, it was a penny. McTominay's an idiot. Like I don't know why he was holding on to him for so
Wait, Man
long.
United
Like
got
it's,
charged for what?
Failing
That's
to
weird.
control players. I know Palace got charged with that same thing today
yeah,
for
it's the
game
second
against
time
Everton.
it's the
It
second
can't be
time it's
against
happened
us
to
because
us.
I can't
No,
remember
no,
Yeah, it
any
was.
any.
I think it was for when around. I think it was around the penalty. I think there was
Yeah, it
they
was
all
about the
started.
penny. It was about the penny. It's the second time it's happened to us this season. Like it's one of those where like if I was a player at the time, you're gonna complain to the ref because at the end of the day, you're gonna back your player, isn't it? But on
Mm,
hindsight, when they see the replay, they're gonna look
Yeah,
at man and say,
so
"You're an idiot," because
yeah,
why did you hold on to man for so long? It was so
that's true.
unnecessary. Like it's
That's
not
true.
like I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny. And this ain't this to Chelsea, but they didn't look like they were gonna score, and we just literally pretty much basically said, "There you go, there's the game," kind of thing. Like it's mad.
Fair
yeah, like
enough.
I say, it was probably one that I think that all coming from when he kind of tried to shore up defensively, and then like I say, it was just very. I just don't get why you would do it so late in the game as well. Like I say, he was dug out of a hole in the end, but it was just one of those ones you looked at and just thought, yeah, it just made no sense.
It
But
happens a
then
lot. It
no,
happens a
like I
lot.
say,
Like
it happens so much that, like I say, it's called very inconsistently. But like I say, when it's as blatant as that, you can have no problems. But then the last game I'll bring up with incidences was the West Ham one. Now, obviously, if you're Bournemouth, you're gonna feel obviously pissed off.
It's humble.
No, no, no. It's the because, like I say, I have no agree because you can see in the player's face for the penalty they gave away, like for the penalty they gave away, the player kind of knew in his heart already that it was gonna be called. But it was the one for the goal. I'm like I say, I understand why it's not given, but again, you can see where, from a Brighton perspective, I'd be more aggrieved at that one than say the penalty that was given. For the simple fact is, obviously, if that ball had hit his hand and gone in, obviously they would have called it off. It's disallowed straight away in it. But it's the fact that even though it didn't immediately lead to a goal, the effect of it still, in essence, led to a goal.
mm,
And for me, I think that's where you can see why a manager may get a bit peed off, and just which is why I think overall the handball rule needs something like put where it's just clear, black and white, not like they did a few seasons ago when if it as long as it touched your arm, it was handball. Because
I,
again, that rule pissed me off because ironically it was a game against Everton. We had a
mm,
penalty conceded on Joe Ward. He didn't move his hand to the ball. His hand was by his side. The ball came down onto his arm. So
mm,
there was no movement. You would say it was a natural position. A penalty was given. But then
mm,
in the second half of the game, a similar incident, ours, I don't think would it have been a penalty? I'm not sure if it would have been a penalty. But Richarlison, not Richarlison, I think it was Calvert Lewin. The ball struck his arm, but the ref was like, well, no, it was too close. But I'm like, it's kind of inconsistent when you're looking at it then because you're saying that's too close, but a player who has his hands by his side in what again what they call a natural position, it strikes the arm, but you give it. And for me, that's also a thing I don't like the wording of natural position.
yeah,
Because again, what like Gary Lineker said, if your arm's attached to your body, it's in a natural position because each motion, your arm's done differently. Like I say, when you jump, if you jump with your hands above your head, again, I get it. Those ones are clear as day because who did it? It was in the championship. I think it was the championship game the other day where a
mm.
player blatantly used his hand to head the ball out
I,
and nothing was it Swindon? It might have been Swindon. It was definitely a game that on the weekend where a similar incident, the player headed, well, act motion like he went with his head, but he used his hand to clear the ball.
yeah,
And I'm just like, that's one rule I really want to see revamped because
I think it's all to do with interpretation. It's not that difficult. Like obviously, if it hits your hand and it leads to a goal, like in the second phase or even the third phase, depending, you have to. It's all about interpretation. So, for instance, when West Ham scored, yeah, and they clearly hit the player's hand, right? For
Yeah.
me, that was handball. There's no ifs, buts, and maybes.
Yes, it's, for me,
You've
it was
gone for
handball.
you've gone for the ball. You've clearly missed it. It hits your hand. It goes to a player, and I think they score straight afterwards.
Yeah, it's literally from the hand hitting him, it drops to another West Ham player. Then obviously it leads to Zuma's goal. But remember
So,
in the Champions League, I think it was it Inter Milan, Barcelona?
yep,
And was it Barcelona had to go ruled out for offside handball? I
yep,
can't remember. But I remember we was watching the game
that's correct. That's correct. Yeah,
and because
you're
it
correct.
was directly into a goal,
Yeah,
it's done. Like it's obviously ruled off. I know in the Premier League, if it's
Oh, it happened with us with
and if it's direct
Real
to
Madrid, with Real Madrid with
it's,
Alonso.
if it's like I say, I know if it's direct to a goal, it gets thing. But I know in the Premier League, if it doesn't necessarily directly to a goal, so literally if I'm the attacker and it hits my hand and I volley it or shoot and it goes in,
Mm.
then obviously that's when it will be ruled out. But if obviously I make a little run, then like put it across the box and then you put it in, they kind of let it go because it didn't directly lead to a goal. Is how I think the wording is, which I say
yeah.
No, I
again,
think
Rules are stupid.
yeah, on
but
that, I
it's
think
stupid.
I think wording is for
Mate,
example, like if the player hits you,
the rules are mad. I
yeah,
used
yeah,
sorry to cut
I
you.
agree. I
Sorry to
agree.
cut you, see, but watch this, yeah. League was it the League Cup last season or the FA Cup? One of the two. Yeah, we faced. I think it was the FA Cup. We faced Middlesbrough. Yeah, the player clearly handballs the ball, and then
I think it
Middlesbrough
was
score.
the FA Cup. Yeah, it was the FA
Yeah,
Cup game.
yeah, and Middlesbrough score, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a goal." You think it's a wait a second? I thought
Yeah,
you're like if it's a handball, it has to get ruled out. But like I
no,
said,
no,
it's all about interpreting. It's mad.
no, Dad. With this rule specifically, it's not down to interpretation. The rule itself
Mate,
is a bad rule.
it is
So
it is
let me
interpretation.
finish
It
out
is
on this one.
interpretation.
No, it's not. Not on this rule. Not on this rule.
Of course it is, because it's down to the ref interpreting the rule. So it's
No, it's not.
interpretation.
On this rule, if the ball comes over and it hits your hand accidentally, okay, and your player ends up picking the ball up afterwards and ends up scoring, that's a goal. But if you hit it on your arm,
No,
yeah, and
no,
it drops to you and you end up scoring, that gets
no,
ruled
no,
off.
no.
That is it.
No, no, no,
That is the
no,
rule in
no,
itself.
no, no. The
And
rule
it's a
is
poor rule.
the
It's
rule.
not.
No, the rule is yeah. If it hits any player, yeah, yeah, like for the team who scores, it's handball. That's how the rule is meant to be
No,
interpreted. Yeah.
not in,
Yes,
no, not in
yes,
the
it
Premier
is.
League. Not in the Premier League. Not in the
Wait,
Premier League.
that's how the
No.
wait. So
If the
wait. So
if
what's
it
the
hits,
wait? So
Covering up the official
yeah,
thing because, like I
yeah,
say, it's stupid when you look at rules because, like I say, the goalkeeper's not meant to hold the ball longer than 6 seconds. That's actually a
that's
rule
true.
in football that
That's
doesn't get
true.
followed anymore. Right, handling
wait,
the
Wait,
ball,
if it hits
that
your
rule
arm,
got been.
wait, Dad, if it hits your arm in the Premier League, if it hits your arm,
handling the ball. One
right,
second.
and
If
your player and your teammate ends up hitting the ball afterwards, and your arm was in a quote unquote natural position, well, that's not down to interpretation, but it's in a natural position, then that will be deemed as a goal. However,
Wait,
in the
wait.
Premier League,
so the
if you
FA's
end up
wording,
scoring that,
where is it? So the FA's wording on handling the ball. It is an offense if a player deliberately touches the ball with their hand, stroke, arm. For example, moving the hand or arm towards the ball, touches the ball with their hand or arm when it has made their body unnaturally bigger.
yeah.
See, this is mad. A player is considered to have made their body unnaturally bigger when the position of their hand or arm is not a consequence of or justified by the player's body movement for that specific situation by having their arm in such a position the player takes a risk of their hand or arm being hit by the ball and being penalized. Scores in the opponent's goal directly from their hand or arm, even if accidental, including by the goalkeeper,
Hmm.
immediately after the ball has touched their hand or arm, even if accidental. So basically,
So it's down to interpretation because the referee
but
has
then
to interpret it that way.
No,
wording,
no, 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 no. That's
Of
that.
wording
No,
course.
rules
no.
is
Rules described you yourself.
You're,
So if you're the player and it hits
so
your arm and you score, then that will be deemed off. And I agree.
or your teammate.
no
No,
so
it's not the teammate.
by this they don't actually mention teammates. So it's basically
No, I know they don't mention it, but that's
no
the
I'm saying
it's
so
the
basically
interpretation.
their wording in itself could be improved, like I say, massively improved. Because then again, like I say, not obviously, I do agree the one was a penalty against Bournemouth, but obviously, when you're diving like that, it is kind of again because he's where his arm was. I have no issues with it, but at the same time, when I don't even want to say when you're kind of lunging to block, your arm's never really going to be in a position because you're not going to position it down the side of you because you don't have no control when landing essentially. So I say overall, I think it's stupid, but obviously, whilst I agree it was a handball, it is very hard when you're trying to make a justification by their wording what is deemed to be making yourself unnaturally bigger. Because again, you're always gonna make yourself unnaturally bigger when you're lunging or as such, like in a slide to block something. Because you're also gonna
Yes, yes,
in a
yes and
No,
no.
that wait, no,
Yes,
that
yes
counts
and
as
no. Yes,
natural.
yes, yes
So if
and
you
no.
slide
Yes,
and your arms that
yes,
way,
yes and no.
that's
saying
kind of
Because
where his
natural.
arm was,
yes,
I agree it was handball. But then say his arm was like slightly behind him and you've put like a low cross in and it hits his arm, are you gonna it's a weird one because essentially he's got his
it's hand,
arm down. No, but
it's
it's hit his
handball.
like I say, it would be handball,
Handball.
but then by the wording, again, it all comes down to for me,
It's
it would be
handball.
handball, but at the same time, you're also looking at a player who's also thinking, obviously, trying to land. In a sense, you don't really want to just slide like in a lunge, essentially, and then just no control when your body's landing. But for me, like I say, it would be handball, but then it will come down to interpretation because as soon as the ref, yeah, because the ref went over and looked at it.
Yeah, it's
I
all down
say
to
it's,
interpretation. All these rules are down to interpretation. Yeah, we could have the wording or whatever, but it's all down to interpretation. This is
like I say,
why
when it
one.
was,
This is why
you see,
one ref will do one thing and another will do another. It's mad.
No,
that's why I
this
always
one's no,
say
this
rules
one's
need to
pretty
be black
black
and
and
white.
white. This version of the
Mate,
handball
you're
rule
missing
is
the
pretty
point.
black and white.
You're missing OTC. You're missing the
The
point
only,
though.
the only thing that down to interpretation is
OTC,
if
you're
his
missing
body's in a natural
OTC.
position when he hits the ball to
You're
begin with.
missing OTC. You're missing the point.
Hmm.
Forget the wording for a second. Yeah, every ref has their own interpretation of the rules. So you can say anything's black and white, but one ref can say X, Y, and Z. Another ref is going to say X, Y, and Z. This is why every week you get the same situations but different outcomes because
No,
it's
I'm
all
not.
down to interpretation.
I'm not. Look, for me, I think
It's
the
not
rest.
difficult.
I agree with you,
You
Dan. The
don't
rest in
know.
this country, they misconstrue a lot. Yeah, they're brain dead. However, I am not. If they make it a right decision based on their rules that are well, the rules are a bit shit. But if they make the right decision based on their rules, I'm not going to turn around and say, yeah, but most of the decisions you done in the league are shit. So I don't care about that decision. I'm going to ignore it. No, that in itself was the right decision because according to their rules, if it hits your arm and your following player scores a goal and they deem that as an unnatural position, which I agree with that. It was probably an unnatural position. Hits your arm, your player then comes up and scores. That in itself
What's mad
is a
though, but
goal.
go on that West
It's
Ham
a
first
shit rule.
goal
It's a shit rule, but
because I'm
it's a
sorry,
goal.
jumping because it was a corner if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Your hands being across the front of your body, technically, because I'm pretty sure it was across his like near his stomach. That's technically not a what you would call a natural position. But that's neither here nor there. But the only time I would say the handball rule was black and white was when they had that thing. If it touched your arm, it was handball. Like that was the only time I'd say that rule was fully black and white. Is if it touched your arm, it was
Oh,
handball
yeah.
because they followed that crap to the T.
T.
But then obviously a lot of complaints were made about it because I think several
Yeah, it happened to
there were
Tottenham.
several free kicks and penalties going by way of that. But like I say, I would like but like I say, I've always said I think especially in this VAR era, you need things to be black and white and things followed like properly because each week is different people doing VAR and refereeing games. And I think there's a very big inconsistency in obviously how it's interpreted. And I think that's where the issue comes down to because again, you could have an incident where it's a penalty. I don't think it's a penalty, but VAR would tell me no, but that's a penalty. Like you need to go back and look at it because Man City had one like that the other day when they had one which was a clearer penalty than the one that it was given, and I was just
Yeah,
like, it kind of, in essence that in that game it balanced itself out, but it shouldn't have to be the way where it's kind of balanced itself out.
yeah. There's a lot of problems with referee. There's the rules that are not clear and concise enough. You've also got
Yeah,
the
mate,
referee
mate,
decisions in itself, the referees in itself. So let's say the rules are
mate,
perfect. The referees
mate,
and interpretation of themselves, it's not clear. Like they're a bit all over the place.
You
And
definitely
then
need better
you've got poor
control.
refereeing where clearly everybody can see that's a clear
mate, the
foul,
rest,
that's a clear
mate,
whatever, and
mate, the
they're
rest
making
of
the other
poor in this
decision.
country.
That's just completely
Mate,
inconsistent. So
mate, the rest of poor in this country, they're inconsistent.
I think we
Like
should have some foreign referees, like from other leagues, come across.
that would never happen. That would never
No, it
happen.
would never happen, but I think you would see probably a big difference in like, because like I say, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna like there's poor as refereeing's been. Like, there's been some games I've watched, even for Palace. Like, it might piss me off at the time, but there's games I've watched, and some of the action that they've let just like the Wolves game, I would say was pretty good for it, even though there were some decisions I feel he could have blown for free kicks, but
mm,
he kind of just let the game be a bit more free flowing. Like not everything that was probably once upon a time blown for a free kick was being given. So it was kind of nice to see from that aspect that they was allowing the game to just flow in a sense.
do you
It's
know
not
what?
like who was it? The Bayern Munich Dortmund game a few weeks ago.
Oh
Within
yeah,
45 seconds, I think the ref dished out a yellow card. And was it for Bellingham? I think Bellingham got an early yellow card. Then he put a slide tackle in later on in the game, which on another day you would have easily said was a straight yellow. But I feel at that point he kind of realized certain cards he had dished out early probably wasn't fouls. So it kind of, in a sense, he's making an amend for the decisions he didn't give. So I think for to a degree, we're getting a lot more free flowing football, but also at the same time, in some decisions, I think it's overcompensating where some decisions are then later being like
yeah.
kind of
It's
leveling itself out. But I do want to see more free flowing football, but then at the same time, I want to see more consistency when they're given the free kicks in the game. So you're calling each thing the same. So if you're going to do that one, if that then happens, you do the same thing.
I think it's tough for referees to be fair as well. If you think about it, how many decisions do they make in a game, and how
I
many
think it,
decisions do they make that are going to be similar to the other referees? Probably 95% of it is probably going to be exactly the same from
I'm going to be
corners,
honest. I
free kicks,
think in this
etc.
VAR era, refereeing's gone down
No,
because
I disagree.
I think it's kind of gone down to a degree because you kind of have that safety blanket in some aspects of well, VAR might check that. Like I say,
No,
there's some
I
decisions
can't
that
say
they've
it's gone
made.
down. I think it's more highlighted, but I can't say it's gone down. I think it's. I think the referee
I
Mate,
think
decision as a
referee,
referees,
mate,
whole
referee, mate, referee's gone
has gone
down,
up.
mate.
No,
It's
it
gone
hasn't.
even
down.
down to even down to
How
live,
many
Gone,
offside goals do you see nowadays? You don't even
mate.
see any.
Mate, it's gone down.
Barely any. Remember
yeah,
before? Remember back in the day, we will see a bag of offside goals, a
yeah,
bag
but
of
you know
them.
it is as much as they was annoying. Yeah, it allowed for good football debate because now
No.
sometimes you're really
Okay,
judging the
okay.
decisions of some. Because like I
Uh,
say, with some of these
And
close
diving
decisions,
as well. Remember, balls, diving as well. How many
no,
players
no,
back
one
in the
second,
day
yeah, but you can't be pulled up for that.
used to blatantly dive, yeah? And the referee didn't see it at first, yeah? All of a sudden, no VAR straight. Bruv, a bag of types. Now, I think it's got, we have to
Mate,
agree,
it
it
But
hasn't
has
gone
got
there's
up,
better.
man.
areas where
It
there's been
hasn't gone up, man.
improvements. There's
I don't
areas
think
where
it
there's
has.
improvement.
I don't think it has at all. To be
But
quite
then, like
honest, I
I say,
think it's
for a long
worse.
time, I think it has allowed referees to be a bit lazy because they have a safety net. It's like linesmen. Linesmen, there's decisions that they could flag straight away, but they choose to let things play on. It's going to get to a point where one of these days they're going to let the thing play on, even though it was a clear offside, and something serious is going to happen to someone. And it's going to be
Godfrey,
shady because,
Godfrey. That's a prime example.
but yeah, Godfrey was a prime example of it. But I'm saying even I think there was one in the Liverpool Wolves game a couple seasons ago where something similar happened. It was offside. He let the thing run out. And I wanted, did Salah hit the keeper or defender? There was something, and I
Something like
thought
that.
the
Yeah.
defender might have hit the goal, but it could have been avoided if the flag just went up. And I feel we're gonna get to that point where flagging could have happened. That's why I can't wait for the World Cup, because I kind of want to see how this automated thing's gonna work. Because you can't tell me VAR ain't poor from when the simple fact is Arsenal got away with a clear offside, got their goal in their first goal against Liverpool.
Mm.
As when I first saw it in real time, I thought Saka was offside. I never once thought Martinelli, because Martinelli's clearly offside. So when I looked at it, I thought Saka was the one that was offside. But they couldn't check it against Saka because they didn't have a camera angle that put Ben White and Saka in the same frame. So
Mate,
because of that loophole,
I'll tell you this now. That would never happen in another country.
it wouldn't. But because like I say, I have no issues because Arsenal was the better team that day and deserved their win. But when I saw the goal in real time, I thought Saka was just offside. But
Mate,
obviously, when you
I was screaming
No.
offside on the TV. I was just like, that's offside. Clearly.
like I
We
say,
have to
I
take
thought
the
it
good.
was
We have to
offside.
take the good.
No, that's what I'm
Obviously,
Please
saying.
don't. The whole point
Like
of
I say,
VAR, yeah,
there
is to
is
improve
some
the
good
refereeing.
aspects of it, but for a lot of the time, I think it has brought down the standards of refereeing. Because I'm not gonna lie, if I know I have that safety net, I'm gonna play on it. It's like even in my day-to-day job, I know I have a safety net of I can probably make a mistake here or there because I don't actually make mistakes. So I know if I make a one small mistake here, it's not going to be as highlighted as if I made mistakes every day. So I think to a degree they have got a bit lazier with refereeing because in for a lot of cases they have that safety net of well VAR can check that, VAR will check that and probably dig me out of a hole. Because
how
no,
many
don't
times
get me
does VAR actually like?
no, but
Nah,
see then this is the
I
issue
think that's
when VAR
unfair. I think that's
intervenes.
unfair.
No, because this is why you know it's thing. Because a referee, for the most part, will make a decision in real time.
Yeah,
Only once in the VAR area in the Premier League has a referee stuck by his on-field decision. Once out of all the cases that have gone to VAR, as soon as a referee goes to a monitor, you know 99.9 times out of 100, like 99.9%, that decision that he gave on field when he goes to the
Gonna change.
screen is going to be changed.
I think that is also. I think you misinterpreted that as well because there's a lot of times where the referee says no penalty, and then the play continues, and then there's VAR check complete, no penalty. That referee didn't go
Yeah,
onto the
no,
screen
1 second. No, yeah,
necessarily,
no, one
but
second.
they
One
agreed
second.
with VAR.
No,
You're missing
no,
what Smith
they're
said.
agreeing. But what I'm saying is, if a referee goes to the screen to review it,
Mm.
99.9
It's going to
times
change.
it's going to be reversed. Only once in the Premier League era in the VAR era in the Premier League, and that was this season, and I believe it was Brentford against Leeds. I think the referee gave a penalty on field. VAR told him to review it. He went and reviewed it, and I think I was even listening to Soccer Saturday, and they was like, "Oh, it shouldn't be," but so they was expecting it to get turned, and then they was like, "Oh, the ref's gone to the screen," so you know what that means. And it could have been Tim Sherwood that was actually doing that game. But whoever was doing that game was shocked because the referee stuck with the on-field decision. Normally, you don't, like I say, you don't see it. If a referee goes to the screen, just know it's whatever was given is being overturned. Like I've witnessed it in grounds as well. Like I've witnessed
That's
it at
true.
Palace.
I
When
agree.
you see
Look,
it, like I
you
say,
are
it
right. You are right in that aspect. I'm not disagreeing with you. Yes, the referee when they look at the physical screen, they're more than likely going to
and you know why?
change
Because
it.
they get shown that same dodgy. They get shown a specific angle, and they'll get it shown in slow motion. It's just like as much as obviously for you as a Chelsea fan, you wasn't complaining about the West Ham one, but even in that game, there the referee had the perfect view, and he didn't give a free kick on Mendy in that game at that point. And the only issue I had with, and what made it worse was when the VAR sent him to the screen, they showed him the angle he had in real life. So the angle he watched in real life was the angle they showed him, which was looking straight down at the goal. So it's not
Mm.
even like they showed him a different angle of the incident. They showed him the exact same angle that in real time he called perfectly legit. Like I say, I don't have no problems with it per se, because like I
I
say,
thought
there's a lot of decisions that it has got right, but for the most part, there's a lot of thing. I think having it has made the refereeing standards a bit poor. That's why sometimes I don't mind watching the Championship, and I enjoyed watching the Scottish League prior to a couple of weeks ago when Scotland now have VAR. And I,
no,
because
bros.
VAR for me sometimes it just ruins like the feel of a game. Like I liked the old school. Oh yeah, but you could have a debate about a decision because it made it a bit more fun. Even though you knew it was wrong, you still end up in certain cases walking away with decisions that you look at and it's like, yeah, but that was wrong. Perfect example as well. Jota against Palace last season. The referee didn't give the penalty in real time, but then somehow when he watched the replay, he adjudged Guaita to have taken out, well, to have obstructed Jota from getting the ball. What's the goalkeeper supposed to do? He's in his box. He's coming out to defend the ball. He doesn't. He comes out and he doesn't change his body. His body's still in the same position it was as when he came out. Jota kind of goes into him, but somehow from a replay, you've now seen that, and then you've given the penalty.
That's
Like I
not
say,
VA.
no, but
I think,
VAR sent the referee to the screen in real time. The ref never gave it, but VAR sent him to the screen. As soon as he went to the screen, I was like to my mum, "Well, this is going to be a penalty."
do you know what I
Yeah.
think? I think personally, and this is where I think there's going to be a lot of improvement, if not perspective, on the refereeing. I think if they include some level of comms and we can hear the refereeing and we can hear the VAR
Yeah,
checks
they
on
definitely have to do
almost
that.
every single decision that they make,
that's never gonna
then I could
happen.
be like, all right, cool. They made in
'Cause
that game, they made what? How many decisions? Probably about 100 decisions in that game, or let's say 10, 20 decisions in that
so
game,
for
of
me,
which 19 of it they got right, or 20 of which they got right for most of the time. And then every so often they get a VAR decision wrong because it's for me, I'm
like
I'm
the three
also
they
looking at
had
it
in
from a holistic standpoint.
like the three they had in the Man United Newcastle game. Three,
Yeah, that game was wild
Yeah,
for
but
him.
three,
come on, man, it
three.
happened.
Come on, three, not
What
one,
you
not
lot
two,
arguing,
three.
what you lot arguing is the individual referees are poor
Yeah, but
referees,
no, but
and
see,
I've
this
got
is the
no
issue.
dispute about that. I've
May,
got no
May, May,
dispute about that. If
you're
you're
missing the
arguing
point,
with the
bro. You're
technology,
missing, May,
I
you're missing the
disagree
point.
on that.
No,
May,
but
you're
see,
missing the
that's the
point.
point I think you're
May,
missing.
if
Because
it, if it,
VAR is meant to help you when you've made that error.
exactly, and it didn't. Three
VAR
Yeah, but
didn't
you,
times,
step in
three
either three.
times.
And
There
on
should have
Ref
been
Watch
three.
on Sky
There
Sports,
should have been three penalties in that
Ref
game,
Watch on
and
Sky Sports with Dermot
VAR
Gallagher
messed up three times.
said all three should have been penalties.
it's not VAR that's the issue. It's not
No, but
VAR that's the
no,
issue.
but it is in a sense
Is
because the referee made the decision on field, so they're penalty incidences, so they should, in theory, be checked. And Dermot Gallagher said all three should have been penalties. Like he
I
said
understand.
that.
I
So
understand your look.
VAR is looked at it, but for some reason VAR is not given any of them. And I think the Man United one was it the first penalty shot they had
the
was the
first one was
clearest.
Ronaldo. No.
Was it Sancho?
The
That
second,
was
the Sancho one was the clearest one because he got booed in his
Sancho.
shin. The Ronaldo one should have been a penalty because if that was outside the box, it would have been a free kick. It makes sewer sense. And then Wilson
I
one,
think Wilson should have.
as much as I believe it was a foul, I can understand why the ref could have gave it, and it probably should have been given. As much as I believe he dived, make it make sense.
Yeah, so like
Like
I say, it's a weird
Look,
one
look.
because you
you
need
I
know,
both
understand.
to work on the same page.
I understand. Look, what you lot are saying, what you lot are describing, and you're right for in terms of those frustrations, but where you're angling those frustrations is where the issue is because the issue is the standard of refereeing
yeah, but
as a
really, that's
whole in this
yeah,
One
but
country.
second.
And you're talking
OTT,
about
No,
if you got
yeah,
wait
but
Dan,
OTT, you're missing
wait,
something.
no, but Dan,
You're missing
let me
something.
finish of this one. If you got, let's just say, the best referees across the globe, and you put them and you remove all of the referees in the UK, you put the exact same referees in the same functions, in the same refereeing room, and on the same pitch, making the exact same decisions, bruv, your issue's not with VAR now. Your issue, those decisions, most of them, majority of them will probably be correct. Your
Yeah,
issue
but
now is not necessarily the whole
OTC.
function, the whole system. And the
OTC,
technology in itself.
OTC,
It's
OTC.
those
There's no way.
individual standard of refereeing. That's where
OTC,
your
there's
issues are
no
coming from.
OTC. You're missing it.
And the rules,
Right?
of course,
What
because the rules are a bit all over the
OTC?
place.
OTC, you're missing the point. One, yeah, we already know the refereeing in this country is poor. Yeah, we've already
Yeah.
established that one. Yeah, the point is, yeah, once the referees made the mistake, yeah, VAR should be picking up on it and correcting that
So
mistake
VAR is brought
three
in
times.
penalty
Yeah, but
incidences.
VAR
Penalty
are
times.
referees in themselves. So if the
Yeah,
referees
so
on the
that's what I'm
pitch are
saying. That's
shit
the issue.
referees, the shit referees behind the screens are also
But
going to
but,
be shit
but
referees.
remember,
So you can't.
VAR isn't for every decision. It's for penalty incidences, mistaken identity, um, goals, and red cards.
They
So
check a lot.
challenges.
These men
No,
check
but
a lot. I don't.
those are the fields of which VAR should be used. Any incident that could have been a penalty, it should be reviewed. Any incidences where there's a case of mistaken identity to the wrong player being carded, um, incidences obviously for goals like offsides, handballs, is there
And
fouls and build
fouls.
up. So for those things, so it's not used for everything. So the things that it should be used for, there's not a lot in it for what it should be used for. So there
I
should be
think that's
no
the only thing
issue.
they could be used for. I don't think there's anything else really
No, but
to
that's what
it.
I'm saying. They're not allowed to be used for everything. So you have already criteria of what it can be used for. So the fact that you're not being able to use it correctly, in a sense, is worrying. But like I said, the issue you have is I've always said if you're going to do VAR, you need to have it in a case where I personally feel there should be refs that are brought in that can just do just VAR because make them accredited to refereeing standards, but then also make it so decisions are done quickly. Like I say, us in the stadium, we don't know what's being checked or when it's being checked. Whereas if you watch football at home, the commentators they get to hear the conversations between the VAR and the referee, which where you say is as much as I'd like to obviously be privy to or in the stadium to what's actually being checked and what they're seeing. Because, like I say, it works in rugby where their video, TV official who's reviewing the play will speak with the referee of the game. The referee will explain to him, "Well, I saw this is what I saw. You tell me what you saw, and then what you see on the camera." And then so they will have their discussion, but obviously their discussion's open to players and to obviously everyone at home, so we can hear the conversation. But it's very clear cut. So the referee on the field will tell him, "Well, I saw this. It looked like this, but obviously you tell me from what it looks like from what you're seeing." And like I
Yeah.
say, it's a very open conversation. Whereas I don't think that would work in football. But
Hey,
as
lads,
much as
lads,
as
sorry
much
to
That
cut
won't
you.
work in football.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
yeah, no, come and jump for a
Cool.
second as well.
Cool. Peace.
Let's
Later.
please rip this one
No
up.
problem.